Good.
All right, I'd like y'all to welcome to the Fountain Lake School District May board meeting. It's 5 o'clock, so we'll get started. We'll start with the pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for just all that you do for us, Lord. We just ask you to put a hedge of protection around our school district, our kids, our staff, administration, our community, Lord. Just be with us as we try to make these decisions the best we can, Lord. Just guide and protect us in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. I want to start off first by just congratulating our 2024 seniors. I thought Friday night went off outstanding. I'm very proud of, we have 68. I mean, that's, it may be a small class, but like they said, they're big. They may be small in numbers, but they've accomplished a lot. So I'm very proud of that group. Plus, I'm kind of biased. Me and Cindy both have one that's on their own now. So we'll just start off with our Copa Pride Award, and I think Mr. Freeman.
So Isabel could not be here tonight, but I did want to go ahead and present this and kind of talk to her about her a little bit. Isabel was a student who went through our middle school some years back, and she helped participate with Mr. Bellamy with our rocket launch project that we do in our 8th grade. You can see a picture from this year on the screen. She enjoyed that project so much that even as she became a 9th grader and moved into high school, she came back and helped Mr. Bellamy with that project, helping use the trigonometry algorithms in order for them to calculate the height of the trajectory for the rockets. And then even after she graduated, she continued to come back. And so for the last 9 years, she has come back and helped Mr. Bellamy with that. And so in recognition for all that she's done for us and given back to the school, we wanted to recognize Isabel Butler for her dedication to Fountain Lake School.
She couldn't be here.
Yeah. Great award.
Thank you. And I'd also like to introduce our newest board member, Val Wynn. He's a graduate of Fountain Lake 96. And we're just happy to have him on board with us.
Happy to be here.
Looking for great things. Next item will be our consent agenda items. We've all had a chance to look over those. If no one has any questions, we'll approve those by unanimous consent. All right, and then next is Dr. Murphy, Superintendent's update.
We'll begin this evening with the elementary monthly report. Mrs. Curry.
Okay, hi. Good afternoon. We had we took our last iStation test in April, so we haven't tested anymore except for our upcoming Atlas test that we're doing currently right now with our 3rd and 4th grade students. So I just charted our growth there from spring of last year to spring of this year, and so I won't read all of those levels to you, but basically we increased the number of students that were below grade level by 3rd grade. So our 3rd grade scores are going really well. We decreased it by 16%, which means more students are on level. So we're very excited about that. And we were real close to meeting our 20% goal. Not quite there. Maybe won't be quite as ambitious next year, but just really proud of our kiddos' hard work this school year and our teachers as well. So.
No, I like that you had a 20% goal. I think that gets us further down the road.
But we were almost
really
there.
Proud of
yes.
elementary for that.
Well, thank you. It's not me. It's all of our teachers, and they've done a really good job this year. So very proud of them. We have had our end of the year assessments going on. Last week we did our Atlas testing for 3rd grade. That went really well. And then tomorrow we start with 4th grade, the next 3 days. And then we'll finish that up by Friday. So that's going really well so far. We did have the state come out to monitor that, so they'll probably be back, but we've got all of our ducks in a row. Mr. Hutchison's done a really great job, so that's been very smooth. Most of our end of the year assessments were finished up on getting all of those ready for kids that need to attend summer school or kind of looking at that data for next school year. And I know Dr. Murphy's going to talk about this shortly, but our ABC preschool grant was approved. Okay. So we did find out from that last week. Up a little bit on our mental health services. Our staff attendance is still running really well at 98%, and our student attendance, despite being May, is still holding pretty steady. So we do have field day coming up on Friday, so I think most everybody will be here until then.
Yeah.
Our special ed updates, we had 32 meetings this month. We had the Diamond Head Fishing Derby, which was very fun for our kiddos, and they did really well at the Special Olympics track and field event, which was held at Lakeside School. So got to go to that, and our kiddos did a really great job.
How many
So,
kids did we take to the fishing derby?
All of, majority of elementary, and then part of middle school, and some high school kids, so I don't have the exact
probably,
amount.
I would say probably 20 plus kids, maybe.
To the fishing derby?
Oh, fishing derby.
Fishing derby. Mhm.
Yeah, probably a little less than 20.
Okay.
Yeah, but they had a really good time. Discipline referrals running about the same, bus referrals up a little bit. Our kids get kind of antsy in the spring, a little bit there. This week we do have a busy week. Thursday we have 2 graduations, preschool graduation at 9 a.m. in the morning in the auditorium. Kindergarten graduation is actually their little musical that evening at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday as well. Field day is Friday, and then we're gonna have Willing Ways coming in the last week of school to give our staff members some behavior tools training to kind of kick off our summer. I think that's all I have.
How many do we have attend, do we know how many will have attend summer school? And I know that's not just, you know, I mean, anybody can
Elementary,
go,
we're looking
right?
a little below 50. There's not many that year, and which is a good thing, means most of our kids are on grade level. We do have a few that we're just kind of, you know, wanting to encourage to come, just kind of help bridge that gap for the summer. So
And we did it last year where it was open.
50 for elementary probably,
Right?
and middle.
And I think you'll still invite, because last year you invited all the kids, anybody that wanted to come for.
Right. We did
extra-
not do that this year,
Okay.
just because we're doing half days for this year, and we didn't have as many staff members sign up to want to work it, so we wanted to make sure we had ample staff to still keep the classes small. But we did have room for some that need it.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Is how we funded that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have the availability to offer the programming to all students without any revenue. So it's more of, back to prior to ESSER. Mr. Campbell's gonna discuss that, kind of the challenge of that, as part, don't you have something to say? Yeah, so,
Okay, well,
But it's, you pretty much covered it at this point.
Yeah,
It's
and that was-
scaled back this year, we're gonna run buses, we're gonna feed them breakfast, send them home with a sack lunch, run a half day, we're using, budgeted tutoring money that we have left over from local funds to fund it this year, instead of the ESSER funds that we used the last 3 years for the really big, full-blown, full days and
yeah.
field trips and all of that. So it's really just trying to get the kids on level that are
Targeted
pushing
approach.
a little further along. And then the same, it'll be the same in the middle school that way, in the high school, it's credit recovery type something.
Thank you. Middle schools,
yeah, middle school?
Yeah, so we also started out with our academic progress, and you will see that we have made some pretty healthy gains in the area of mastery on our Mastery Connect test. The first 2 graphs that you see right there, that is the literacy scores comparing first quarter to third quarter, and the bottom 2 is math scores comparing first quarter to second quarter. And what you'll notice there is you'll see that the blue and yellow is increasing, which is what our goal is, because that's blue is exemplary and yellow is emerging. And we had an 11% growth in literacy from first quarter to third quarter, and we had a 9% growth in math from first quarter to third quarter. And we are looking at hopefully continuing that trend as we finish out the school year. As you talking about finishing out the school year, looking at our instructional focus this last month of school, our focus right now is on the end of the year assessments and also planning for summer school. And just so you'll know, Mr. George, for our middle school, we're looking at about 25 kids right now from middle school. And then Miss Richard, Mr. Stage, our new principal, and myself, we actually have set up some meetings for this summer to do some curriculum planning for next school year, and that's going to be our focus this summer. As far as discipline referrals, We're holding really good, steady as far as our number of referrals. We had 80 for the month, 55 minor, 25 major. And you'll notice the year, or right now we're sitting at 525. And I have to commend our teachers. They have done a really, really good job on trying to work towards establishing relationships with our kids and with our parents, because this time last year we were sitting at 730. So we've gone from 730 to 525, and that's a large part of that has to go with the relationship building that our teachers are working on. Bus is actually down this month, 7 total. Our health services, mental health services, we had about 23.75% of our kids receiving services, and you'll see the breakdown by grade levels there. We've had 27 special ed meetings that we held during the month of April. A lot of that was our end of year conferences where we're getting those kids ready for the next school year. And then we also participated along with elementary in the Diamond Head Fishing Derby and the Special Olympics track and field event. Staff attendance, we have really challenged our staff to lead by example, especially these last couple of months, and we're sitting at 99% attendance, so we're real proud of them. And our students are stepping up as well. They're sitting right at 93%. And like Ms. Curry said, even though it's springtime. As far as upcoming events, you'll see we have 8th grade transition and 4th grade transition coming up. 8th grade transition was actually today. Mr. Janaski said that went real well. He actually came in and spoke with our 8th graders and kind of getting them ready for what 9th grade is going to be about or be like. We have our 7th grade has a field trip tomorrow, and then we have our 7th grade geography fair later this week. And then we're also in preparation right now for our PBIS rewards, our end of the year culmination field day on May 22nd. We do have an 8th grade graduation. And also our 5th through 7th grade graduation coming up on May 23rd, and those events will be occurring during the school day.
Good.
High school.
High school.
We had graduation Friday night. That's kind of a home run for the month right there.
Yeah, we finally got some dadgum lights turned on.
Yeah, you know. But it was a little cooler in there than normal, so I was,
Yeah.
you know, so we did our Atlas testing 2 weeks ago. We're still doing some makeups. They should all be wrapped up by the end of the week. Mr. Hutchinson's done a great job trying to catch all the kids. I know he also, Mr. Keys did a little kudos for him too on ACT work keys, and he got all our seniors in there and got them tested. And like she said, 85% of them have those skills that the college and career readiness programs are looking for when they go out and take a job. Big thing for us today, we got our sophomores over to Sling County Tech. That was actually scheduled for last week. Then this tornado came through, and apparently Sling County had lost power, so we really wanted that sophomore group to look at it with people on campus, not just sit in a room and have somebody talk about it. So they were able to tour today with Miss Hensley, so she got them over there. I think the kids are impressed with the facilities, but really didn't know what kind of questions to ask at this point in time. But this would be that group that we would transition instead of going out to National Park. They would be the ones that we would start sending out to Sling County Tech and offering those programs, like I said, with MedPro. If the student finishes in that deal, they can get their certificate as a CNA. But they've got the HVAC, automotive, cyber network, cybersecurity. So there's a lot of possibilities and programs that they offer that our kids are not getting access to currently. So kind of looking forward to seeing how this turns out for them. I did put in here kind of what the schedule might look like as far as that bell schedule. That's the hard part. They go from 8 to 9:45, 9:55 to 11:40. We're talking about a 30-minute transition from here to there. So we've got to do some looks at some schedules and see how this is going to work. The kids who go to Saline County Tech may have to take a study hall because when they come back in, they're probably only going to have 15 or 20 minutes of the class left over. And, versus trying to disrupt everybody or make them behind. So they do offer a third session, even National Park does. We haven't typically transported anyone out for those. Part of that because of the release time that we have on Wednesdays. So right now, that's what I can tell you as far as what we've got going on. Semester test coming up next week. Yeah, gotta get my weekends right. So any of our kids who are on track where they don't have to take a semester test Monday and Tuesday will be their last day. So we've told them they can turn everything in. Wednesday will be a review day. Thursday and Friday will be semester test. And then make up for semester test for anybody who's got an excused absence or something that came up as far as medical, can do it on the 28th, which is the last day officially of school.
How many do you anticipate going out to Saline County? Because we go junior high, juniors, seniors, right?
Right. So right now we have probably 45 to 50 kids out at National Park. So next year's group would probably be half. So it'd be probably somewhere between 20 and 30. It just kind of goes
The
with those
juniors
numbers.
only
Correct.
would have eligibility to attend National Park. The other thing, as you move forward, that he's not mentioning here, because we're trying to create a transition, but if we can accelerate credits for some students, they actually, and we're not there yet, but they will accept a sophomore at Saline County. But we're not going that route next year. We're just gonna focus on the juniors, take it a step at a time, kind of see where kids' credits are at. Any kid that was at National Park as a junior will stay on board and finish. If they choose to want to transition to the other facility, then if there's a seat available, you know, we'll cross that bridge, but we're kind of targeting juniors only to explore that experience and see what the timeline is. You know, we visited, Mr. Landry and I was back over there last Monday, and, you know, visited with Scott over there, who's the director. Anything else, Mr. J, on your report?
No, sir. We did like the rest. We start summer school on June the 3rd. For us, we're still looking at numbers because we're still trying to see who has to get in there based on credit recovery. And so if they fail the semester, then we recommend summer school to them.
I know one you're not gonna have.
So, continuing on, you know, and transitioning to a couple items here, I'm gonna kind of stop based on the 3 reports that you've observed there and kind of what I was commenting at graduation as it relates to the administration. I was showing Mr. Landry, Dana, one of the first, I think it was the July board meeting report when you and I first started working together, and it was in a booklet. And so I was bragging on our progression and the amount of work, and then the internet line got cut about 2:45 today. So everything that we have for this meeting is of course, archived via wireless, and so in that process, we got a little nervous, but they got the internet back up. But I say all that to say the amount of content available to the public in our board reports is just, I'm very pleased, proud of our administrators for the work that they've done, because it does take some work to develop that content and make it available for the public and to the board as well. And so I just want to continue to echo my thanks to the leadership team for the work that they've done over the years working with me in that context. So, you know, could not have been able to develop all this without your support, so thank you. A couple of items. One, as Katie alluded to, we do have the opportunity to migrate our pre-K programs over to Dawson, and really, as you've observed in our work session, pretty significant savings to the district when we allow for that pre-K programming to be funded by the Dawson Co-op versus funding it locally out of Fund 2. It's in excess of $200,000 that we'll be able to return to other related programs and still yet be able to provide 3 sections of pre-K in our elementary campus setting. So just wanted you to be aware, and I wanted that placed in the agenda where it be visible to the community that Dawson will be funding all of our pre-K programming next year.
And is that, just, are we guaranteed that for 1 year? Because it is a grant, so,
Yeah, you know, when you look at where pre-K funding is, the overall allotment, from what the allocations are through the legislative body is pretty much the same. Funding is always, you know, could be cut, but it's been pretty consistent in terms of it's just shifting. If you remember, there was a point in time where they were putting a lot of money into what they called the Garland County pre-K program.
yes.
And so the number of seats, because it would require our families to drive into town, proximity, length, distance, location, our families weren't participating, and so there was a lot of seats that were going unused. And so they've kind of taken that approach and kind of diversified, spread it back out to the schools. And that's what created the eligibility to fund additional sections, because that program in town was being funded. It was the Dawson Garland County Pre-K program.
Okay. So we have.
So the money is it's just
still-
being handed out in a different way. It's pretty much the same pot of money that Dawson's had available to them. Our staffing model will be employed by Dawson, work in conjunction with Mrs. Curry and the supervisors from Dawson in that process. But when they receive a check, those employees will be paid through the Dawson co-op. The other item is informational. Through LEARNS, there's been a new program certificate that supports teachers, and it happens to be called Lead Teacher Certificate. It does not align directly with the work that we're doing with our lead teachers. So to ensure that there's not, because we could have teachers go obtain that certificate. It's a certificate that allows for them to maybe be just a lead within a department. It's kind of a way to show leadership skills. It's not the mentoring program, which is separate in terms of, but the bottom line is for clarity's sake, we need to be able to code directly of what our job descriptions of our lead teachers currently, and their role is an instructional facilitator. So we will name and refer to them as instructional facilitators moving forward. So we will no longer refer to them as lead teachers as you move into this next fiscal year based on the LEARNS Act and how they're defining different roles.
Were any of them named instructional facilitators on the contract schedule though, already? Some of them already have that, right? You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
You might
we used to
have.
have instructional
We used to have
facilitators
instructional
a long time ago.
But what Cindy is saying is we'd had some discussion about changing those names, you know.
Yeah.
The point I'm trying to make specific to our staff is that we'll be referencing them in the role of instructional facilitators moving forward based on how the department defines a lead teacher versus an instructional facilitator. They're two different types of roles. So that's item E. Item F turns to kind of give you a snapshot of a year-to-date summary of our finances. If you can go to that one, you may be looking for that other part, Mr. Campbell. That's okay, just pull up finances there, and you can see the funds associated with funds 2 through 8. We will close Fund 1 out on a continuum through the end of the year. The balances will be held in Fund 2 through 8. If you look year to date, you can still see where we opened with each fund balance on the left-hand side, and you can kind of see where we're at currently in terms of each fund balance as it relates to year to date, including the month of April. So trending wise, we seem to be trending about right. If you go, Mr. Campbell, to the other document where it kind of reviews expenditures, put a plus to that one time so it kind of gets a little bit bigger. Thank you. And looking at that document, you can kind of see where we're at on the overall revenue collections. We're still at about 3.8 million in terms of overall taxes coming in. State revenue, we're at 85%, so we're just above 76%, right at 76% on property taxes. May is a pretty big month for us, and it's not reflected in here yet. So May and June should cover the remaining amount of difference for revenue. Or roughly 77% as we move into closing out the year. When you look at the expenditure side of the fence, we've expended overall, as it relates to salary and benefits, right at 74% of the overall budget. So, we have summer payrolls that will take place, paying teachers out for the full contract with June and July checks, because we do now begin the payment in August. So roughly they'll receive May, June, and July reflected in this to kind of bring that sum total. And the supply services, we're pretty much, we've got a few major expenditures left, but we're at 83% of the overall budget without the anticipation of, our intent would not be to exceed 95% of that, so that we leave a little bit of a buffer based on how our revenues typically trend in. If we have a shortfall on a revenue from the county level that pushes over into July, this gives us a little bit of a buffer so that we can, if you will, end the year with a surplus. Got to talk to Tanya. We still got we've got to make a big debt payment still yet to finish that off here between now, and that's typically due around, I think, the 1st of June. So that should be reflected here before long. So that's.
Is the
that's
Q
kind of
scab paying off this year, or is that?
No, you still got another year.
One more year?
So you'll have some unfortunate accounting, and go back to the other sheet. We kind of show everybody that Q scab and what it kind of looks like. It's kind of unfortunate. We have to kind of keep track of it. It just it resides there. If you look year to date in Fund 3, there's a second Fund 3 where it opens at 1.3 million and then closes at 1.3 million. This is originally a zero interest loan that was utilized as part of when they built Safe Room A and the middle school building. It was a culmination of bonds and roughly $2 million short thereof. But you've got a couple more years left, and if you're trying to find that full deadline, if you remember when Mr. Beardsley was here for our work session, Tanya will be pleased when it goes away.
Yes.
It's kind of an accounting nightmare in terms of transfers, and so, but yeah, it's still on the books. Any other questions on the finances? Turn it over to Hayden. He's got some really good updates for you, and turn it over to him.
All right, so Mr. Moore, can we go to the current year 23-24 on the tab on the bottom? So the only thing on this school year that has recently completed is our cafeteria freezer that we purchased with Fund 8, our food service fund. Got delivered last week and turned on about a day later, so all of our food goods have been transferred over. So now we're running on 2 brand new freezers on the exterior of our cafeteria. We still have 1 freezer on the inside, so those outside 2 are very, very efficient. We're gonna love them long term, great warranty on them, so everything has been moved over. They are running great. Mr. Campbell, can go back to next year? Yes?
Clarity on when the rental freezer will leave the campus?
It should be any day.
Okay.
We're not getting billed for it anymore.
Okay.
I canceled it. And moved everything Thursday, and I
Here
canceled
in the
Friday.
next week or 2.
Yeah, in the
Okay,
next week.
no
or two.
problem.
Yeah, we're not getting billed for it, even though it's still sitting there. On this list, up top, everything stayed the same. I'll highlight the McHenry partnership here next. Underneath the green line, these items are getting added, I wouldn't say daily. The medium Harvard apartments, one thing we did just add, Miss Curry and Chief Riley, we are looking at adding a double door in the preschool wing in building 10. That'll be a new door going in, just to isolate that whole building. We gain on lockdowns, that would benefits for those grade levels as well.
So that would be like an interior door down at the end of that hallway, if everyone can visualize where the pre-K is at, far end of the building.
Where in the building?
It'll be towards the north end, where
Tell
the
us.
current preschool's at now.
Yes.
Okay, so in that preschool hallway, whose room is it next to, Miss Curry?
The current ABC preschool room.
Okay.
So it basically would be when you turn the
So
corner.
just like walking
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right when you turn the corner to that right.
Right.
So keep
Just
the
adds an
pre-K
extra
separate
layer of
from,
safety.
Any
for
everyone
us.
else?
Yeah. They have their own restrooms, they're not going down the hallway for the restrooms or anything, and their playground, that safe room base, they're using that
Yeah,
one window
that's
to
right.
enter exit.
okay.
So just as soon as you make the right-hand turn right there.
Yes.
Correct.
Like over there by the closet, the
Yes.
custodial closet,
Yeah.
right there.
By Mr. Freeman's old room.
Yes.
I remember that one.
Oh, my.
The little small one? That's your
Yeah, that was it.
214.
Gotcha.
So by room 214, there's gonna be, okay, got it.
But just to sum it all up, this list is pretty minimal from the previous year projects. We feel like we're in a really good spot, campus-wise. We do have the fence. Mr. Landry and I have been talking about that, how we want that to look, ornamental versus using the pipe gate. I think we're gonna go the ornamental route. And I should have some bids pretty soon, as in early next week on that. So that's all I have on this list. But it's growing every day.
Summer
Trying to
projects.
keep it.
Summer project.
Yeah.
Be a lot of painting this year. We'll focus on that.
Yeah.
Security checklist looks good. Again, just because we swapped to a storefront style, meaning when the doors close, the doors locked, that's really benefited us across the whole campus. So everything turned out good this month. So this is the latest renderings from Daniel with Craft and Toll, previously BNF. We have a great relationship with him. We have some really, really good detailed diagrams under our stormwater permits. It also reflects a total or a final grade map. We decided not to bring that to you tonight just because Daniel has about a week left or to have everything completely finalized. So this is kind of what that property will look like. So when we say west boundary,
Right there, Mr. Campbell, in the
Right
middle
here.
one, leave it right there so they can see that picture.
that west boundary is facing west and is looking towards Fox Pass. So we're currently working on the stormwater piece of it now. Where does the water flow? We have roughly 63% of it falling back towards the south. We have about 20% of it going to Safer B, but just working out all those kinks where the water flow goes, we have a huge flat surface now. It will be slightly tiered. We'll kind of go over that next month once we have those kind of detailed diagrams.
So for clarity, that tier that you see is the back edge of our property line. The football field and the ticket booth, even though it doesn't quite look, that is at grade. So we're seeking to be at grade with the football field upon the conclusion of the work.
Right.
So you're roughly picking up about 17 and a half acres, maybe 15. We're gonna get a total square footage. We know the cubic yards that McHenry is moving has exceeded his overall expectation. Here again, his work is being traded out for, he's gonna sell the material and conduct the work. And we're just going to manage the site location and keep it protected, and it will act as, with the mining permit, it will become a quarry over the next 5.5 years, and then it'll result in being at grade, and you'll have roughly, probably just short of 15 acres of usable land.
We've
The
been
one
talking-
trick that we need to at least make you aware of is ADEQ is requesting that we manage water runoff with a detention pond, which is not untypical when you move this amount of material. He's indicating 63% of this is gonna run back towards the creek, okay? So is that we're trying to move as much water away from our main campus as possible. And with that volume of water predicted, we're gonna need to have a detention pond. Ultimately, it'll probably end up being designed as a detention pond. It doesn't hold water, but initially with what they'll be doing, all that'll be fenced back there, but it'll probably hold water for a period of time. That'll be back in, just behind where where that ravine is at. We're getting quite a bit of erosion. If you've been back there and looked at the clay parking lot area, in that area. So that's the only thing that you and I have discussed, that's something that we might have to manage, but that's a minimal trade-off. You know, when
Right.
we look at the cubic yards, over the course of the project, based on what it was gonna cost us we're looking at roughly, it's honestly, we think it'll be as much as if you paid for that under current cost measures, it's about a $9 million project that you're gonna save.
And so, when do we think we'll need to order the metal building? Well, I know we're waiting on the mining permit to be approved.
Mining
We have the
permits,
mining permit.
yeah, so
Okay.
we've talked about this a lot, so probably the last 6 months, we're working on mining permits. So that has been received to McHenry,
Okay.
because they're just leasing this land, is how what they're looking at.
Yes.
We're currently working with ADEQ right now. So they're really big about, retention ponds, where's that water go, watershed, 30-year studies. They're hitting us up on the creek, since everything's flooding into that creek, how does that affect the Saline River, everything else? So they're, it's going. My email from Daniel, he hopes to have the ADE, permit from his side to them this week. So my hope would be, myself, Mr. Landry, and Dr. Murphy, we'd be in here with BNF or Craft & Toll now, I would hope next week. And we would just, not necessarily sign off on anything, but kind of approve the site map, what the grading's gonna look like. Try to have McHenry involved before we send that final grading diagram off for approval.
Then when it's approved, Mrs. Greason, we come back to you with final approval, and then we would ask that you authorize the building to be built.
So we're still,
We've got the mining permit, now we're going through ADEQ. I would anticipate that we might be able to have something before you in June. If we have this meeting next week in the manner that we have, that ADEQ doesn't move very quickly, so it very well could be July or August. But the good thing about it is it's continuing to progress.
Right.
yes.
And it is progressing in a way where we're going through everything, every necessary step to engage. Once we engage in this project, then we can continue to move forward.
There's been a lot of work on BNF's end, or Daniel's end, or I keep saying BNF, Craft & Toll now. They've never done a mining permit before. So as long as BNF has been in business, Craft & Toll, they've never done a mining permit. So they're learning as much as we are at the same time. So just taking a little bit longer to get everything approved. All right, shifting gears to our cafeteria. We've talked about this before in previous board meetings. Let's scroll down just a hair, Mr. Campbell. Really the only thing that we'd be removing before we completely approve this or bring it to you again for approval, which would be next school year, would be these slats, those purple slats. You see these slats sticking out?
Mhm.
You can see them right down here too.
Mhm.
Besides that, everything you're looking at, we could bring back to you in June of 2025 for approval. We feel very good about this. We did a full walkthrough with the board group again last week, if any changes need to be made. So we feel really good about the plan in whole. This sheet here reflects a projected imbalance of this school year. So everything you're looking at, if we want to do tables and chairs and all, we're about 416. If we want to pull the tables and chairs off, we could do it for about 10 grand more than that number right there. But the kicker is, even if we got it approved tonight, they don't feel confident, we don't feel confident. Their end date would be somewhere around the second week of August. So they give us 1 week of buffer room if anything ever happened. We had to have a cafeteria to start.
I was kicking around leaving Mr. Landry a Christmas present, like no lunchroom when he.
Welcome back to school. Eat in your classroom.
But really, honestly, what, the reason it states what it states, I mean, if it goes well and you begin to build your fund aid balances up, you should be able to have a real discussion and launch this project no later than March, so that you'd have plenty of time to get the subs lined out, so that they could start in June and, be able to complete the project hopefully by the second week of July.
Right.
So that if you do run into material, when he told us it was gonna be August 4 at the earliest, we just didn't feel comfortable bringing something to you, taking the entire summer with the uncertainty that it would even be ready when school starts.
Right.
So it's gonna be another year.
It's gonna be nice.
It's gonna be neat. It's really gonna be a great place for the kids, and that's what we're seeking to do, is provide them a great environment. So, thank you, Hayden.
Yeah. Good info, babe.
I'll move to Mr. Campbell.
All right, I'm not gonna go through this whole slideshow. This was, our look at the district PLC, professional learning community. work that our staff did on one Wednesday, early dismissal each month. We met as K-12 departments. And the reason we did that was, we have this district goal as far as increasing the number of students reading on grade level, and I've linked that district goal there. That's the big lengthy one, but it had some action steps, and action step 3 was review state standards by grade level, content area, and vertically throughout the district. And so we were doing that. And then the other action step was examine our curricular resources, the things that we use to teach with. And so we did that across the grade levels as well. And just to kind of give you an example, each of our teams got together, our English language arts team, K-12, and they analyzed the English language arts standards from the state, K-12, talked about ways that the big thing was language. The language we use in kindergarten should be very similar, grade appropriate, but very similar to the language we're using in high school, so that the kids are used to hearing the same terms. We're not talking about something different, we're talking about the same sort of thing. Kind of the cool thing they said is that as far as their AHAs go, they're looking at standards, and that RC3RF, that's the code on the standard. That standard goes from kindergarten all the way through grade 12. It appears over and over and over again, getting deeper and deeper and deeper as we go along. And then the other thing we looked at, and this was really a great activity, we looked at writing and how we teach writing across the grade levels in English language arts, and then we pulled in all the K-12 science and K-12 social studies teachers to look at that as well, because they're essential to our writing process. The content area writing is very important. And so that was just that's the English language arts slide, but we had social studies team, a science team, math team, health and PE. They looked at all of their content standards and how to address all of the gaps and where they need to do things. Fine arts,
And they went on an equipment search.
Yeah.
I do know that they went and found all the equipment areas, found any old equipment, so they found that time to be beneficial as well, to make sure that they're using it with their kids.
Good.
Fine arts team, they found that they were, they're a little different. K-6, they're seeing each kid 40 minutes a week as opposed to seeing them 5 days a week. So it's a little different there. You don't really begin to be pointing toward mastery of a skill until you're really focusing on that 5 day a week. Yeah. The career technical folks met together as a team. The counselors have always met together as a team, but they continue to do that. Gave them an opportunity to talk about trending things that they're seeing, talk about their caseloads, talk about the outside providers, that sort of thing. The media specialists who also work as our parent community engagement folks, have met as a team for a number of years, and the dyslexia team met as a team. So it was really, it was fine work done by our folks, and supports that instructional goal that you all have had in place of addressing that 3rd grade reading level, and expanding that all the way on up through 12th grade. So it was a really time well spent, and I was proud of our folks for the work they did.
Yes.
I've already kind of addressed the summer school for the summer. If you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to take those. Otherwise, I will yield my time back to the board.
Okay.
All right, thank you for that. Do we have any public comments? Anyone signed up for public comment?
No, sir.
All right. Any board member comments? That's good. All right, we'll move into new business.
So I'm just trying to get my computer to go back to add a slideshow. It. Okay. New business. Motion to approve the certified and classified step movement for the 2024-2025 school year.
Does anyone have any questions on
On that attachment, let me get it over here. Okay, the step movement is, it didn't detail it, but the step movement for certified is $500 on the step. No.
510.
510 on the step.
However, it's frozen through 13 steps.
Yeah, right, currently.
Mhm.
Okay, and then what is the classified? I just see a grand total there, but.
It's just, every one of those schedules, they do vary, I think, in terms of their increments. I can't tell you whether one division gets, we would have to go back and analyze each of the individual
No,
schedules.
I think they're all the same, and I think it is, give me just one second.
You'll have to pull up a
I got
schedule.
it.
that?
Yeah, I just wasn't sure when I just saw the grand total.
There she is.
There she is,
225.
225.
There you go.
Thankful that she sits in her office watching online.
Just a minute.
So 510 on certified, 225
225
on the classified
Okay.
schedules. Total amount of the movement is $56,224, which would be new money into the budget for next year. We did have some discussion with both PPC, classified and certified, discussing the ability to give consideration to a $500 increase to the base, and also a 1% increase on the classified schedules. Those numbers basically double the overall amount to roughly 120. You and I had some discussions centered around 2% or 3%. And in a general sense, with us finalizing the utilization of the ESSER funds and creating a transition in terms of taking on some additional new, some existing programming, mental health specifically, other related areas, lead teachers, we're getting a portion of that back in our budget by allowing Dawson to pay for pre-K, but it's the recommendation that we do step movement in this given year and then analyze where that positions the district and provides the board the autonomy with Mr. Landry moving forward as to how you want to go about what the compensation model would even look like, because right now there's really not enough flexibility in the budget as it resides to even do anything other than just fund current staffing model. So the recommendation would be to allocate step movement, kind of see where you end up with the end of this fiscal year. You can always, if you feel like the money is there and you want to provide additional compensation as a board to the staff, you can do that later within the year, but this would at least allow us to put contracts in place for the upcoming year.
Yeah, we've had several conversations with this, and, for me, it's,
I mean, everybody wants to
something
provide,
Right.
additional money, I get that, but at this point in time.
And this is something we're constantly looking at. All right, so if there's no other questions, I'm sure we'll get that. Motion to approve the certified and classified step movement for the 2024-2025 school year. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. That's 5-0. Next one.
Motion, yep, ready.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the 2024-2025 SSC janitorial contract in the amount of $757,602.17. This includes a 2% CPI increase of $14,854.94, effective July 1, 2024.
Any questions on that?
Have we always had a CPI adjustment?
Last year, was our first year with the group,
Yeah, 5%.
and what was that?
It was
5% last year.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Heartburn, yeah.
I know, it is hard.
It is
So
hard.
the staffing model has not changed.
Right.
So,
Well, since we
the
did
other
that
thing,
back in
the other thing is you
November.
look at this is not only staffing, this is trash
Materials.
bags, this
Yep.
is paper goods, this is all consumables associated with the cleaning of our facilities, this is the wax that they use in the summer, this is everything it's much bigger than people when you look at the overall number, so.
So remind me, the school does not buy anything. I feel like we were buying something, no?
Well, we were buying things when we were sharing people with them. So in this
Yes.
transition, we did have at one time a couple of people that
Yes.
were still on our payroll, and we paid for some materials and supplies in those areas.
Correct.
Mr. Fuchsier.
Right.
But at this point in time, I mean, it's kind of a turnkey deal where they provide all of those things. We built when I've taken some of you on the tour, we have the storage container there adjacent at the bus garage. That's where they keep everything under lock and key, and SSC takes care of that, disperses it into the buildings and uses it as needed. And so we're writing this check and not paying for those supplies.
So again, we're not paying for anything when it comes to cleaning?
We are not.
Okay.
No.
No
Now, that
vacuums,
doesn't mean
no
that-
anything?
What's that?
No vacuum,
No vacuums.
anything?
Now, I mean, like I said,
No supplies?
no supply
Any of their
now.
equipment, they're doing all
Right.
the equipment.
Okay.
Right. Now, if a teacher buys like a smell good,
Sure.
or a principal, sure.
Right.
Yeah, no cleaning supplies, none of that.
But that's optional, like.
Right, now, if you went through our budget this year, we did have that $5,000 budgeted for janitorial supplies. So we recently zeroed that out and moved it back to transportation.
Okay.
Because we had hired someone locally at the beginning of the year.
Correct.
That retired in
Yep.
the fall.
And in the summer, they wax the floors, all of the
Mhm.
things, just like.
Yes,
they
that's
have
all
in the
part of
past.
the.
Correct.
And it pays for the supervisor, Josh, who you've met
Mhm.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a part of that process. It pays for all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a turnkey deal, but
Yeah.
it's still a lot of money.
It is.
It is.
So we work with them for a year,
Yes, that's for the full year.
This
It's
is
a lot of
Really
money.
long
and we
business.
will like
This-
them?
Oh,
I
wow.
think they do great.
Yeah,
they do.
I haven't heard any.
Is this the end of year 2 with them? Or year?
This is
think
three,
so.
isn't
This will be
it?
the end of year 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've been
This is
amazing.
our, ending our
Really
third
good.
year.
Okay.
Time
Yeah.
seems to
I
get
see the
away.
business was turning.
We,
Man, it's a junk. It's a junk.
We talked about it, we're like.
We've had several conversations about this, maybe.
That's hard work.
Yeah.
but, yeah. There's a staff of how many?
I have to pull it back up.
Ballpark.
You give me just a minute, I can look here in a minute. I would say at least 15.
I think it's
Okay.
good.
Give me just a minute, I'll let you know.
Yeah, okay.
I have a spreadsheet of it.
That's all right, yeah.
All right, if there's no more questions, everybody good?
Yep.
Motion to approve the 2024-2025 SSC janitorial contract in the amount of $757,602.17, includes a 2% CPI increase of $14,854.94 effective July 1, 2024. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, 5-0.
Motion to approve the Combi oven purchase utilizing Fund 8 from Edward Don and Company in the amount of $34,865.23.
Is that a new oven replacing one, add-on?
Now, we're at 19 staff on SSC.
19?
19.
Okay.
So this is a combi oven. It's going to serve two purposes. One, we're almost three. We're removing 3 pieces of equipment that currently sit underneath our vent hood.
Mhm.
And we're currently having to, this is year 25, where we have to go in and completely rip out and replace our Ansel system. So while doing so, if we remove at least 3 pieces of equipment and replace it with this, if you crunch the numbers, we'll save roughly $23,000 going into next year, even with this purchase. But this is a pretty awesome oven, multi-oven. It's a smoker. It's a steamer. It's an all-in-one that serves multiple purposes, natural gas. This did go out for bid, and this is the, we got 3 bids. We did pick the second bid. So this is not completely the lowest, but it's right in the middle.
And it's self-cleaning?
It is self-cleaning. We'll have to get plumbing to it. I'll have a drain in it. You kind of throw Tide Pods in and it self-cleans. Yeah, pretty neat. pretty neat.
So Mrs. Greason, for myself cleaning up.
I mean, truly, it's not a real Tide pod, but something
It
like that.
literally is, yeah.
Oh, it literally is?
Yeah,
Laundry
that's how-
detergent to clean it?
What did I say, Tide Pod? I meant like your, your pods for your dishwasher.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cascade,
Dishwasher pods.
so
Yeah.
Yeah,
Laundry?
those pods, the dishwasher pods.
Yeah.
That's all it
The
is.
same thing you use in your dishwasher.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's a-
Clarification for everybody watching online.
That's right. No
We put
Tide
a
pods.
Tide pod in there, nothing to clean it. Don't do that.
There's a good photo of it.
Don't do that.
Photo realism doesn't do justice. This is about 750 pounds for one of these, so they're pretty large.
All right. Motion to approve the combi oven purchase utilizing Fund 8 from Edward Don and Company in the amount of $34,865.23. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, 5-0. All right, item 7.
Yep. Motion to add $2,902.50 to the assistant band director stipend for the 23-24 school year only, and to pay assistant band director a daily rate of $263 for days worked beyond the contracted 205 days during June and July of 2024.
This is due to Mr.
Yeah, I mean,
absence.
there's no secret that there's
Yeah.
some challenges with our director and the health of his wife, and so he's had some absenteeism. Our assistant directors had to carry the load of that. We do have a band going to Washington DC this summer, along with what she has done, in his absence throughout the school year. So we think, in all fairness to the work that she's done, we would like for you to consider this recommendation. I think in fairness to the work that she's completed and the uncertainty of the work that we will be engaging in throughout the summer.
What do we anticipate beyond the 205? I mean, just like,
Well, you have a band camp that typically no more 5 to 7 days, prep, 5 days with kids, a couple of days for prep. The trip is a 5 to, I think probably at least 5 days that we'd have to pay for on the trip, and maybe a day or two more associated with that. So, that's safe to say that compensation would be between 10 and 15 days.
The 205-day contract theoretically ends like the 6th of June.
Right.
And it
Ends
doesn't
then.
begin again until like the 21st or something along that line of July. So there's just like a 4 or 5 week window in between there, and she's not planning on working much after the trip at all.
okay.
She's wanting to take a little break herself.
Yeah, understand.
Absolutely.
Understand.
So that's why it's split out over the
2 fiscal years.
fiscal years.
So basically, we would be giving her like the $2,900,
Taking her from.
giving it to her for the work she's
Previous-
already done.
correct,
yes.
And then anything beyond
So
that
the work
June
that
date
she's done, we
would be
feel like
daily.
has been sufficient as the director. So
This is
what
the difference.
$2,900 is
Yeah.
the difference between the assistant director pay and the stipend and the director pay.
Gotcha.
So
And then the other part would be hourly rate.
we gave her some, was it extra last year? Was it last year that we did this too? Haven't we talked about
No.
an increase? We didn't talk about.
No, we didn't do anything for her.
That may have been-
Like
is
the
that
choir.
right?
That was choir.
And she was doing it choir, you're saying?
Yes.
Not Ms. Bowman. Ms. Bowman.
Ms. Bowman. We talked about that because of the last year.
Yeah.
All right, motion to add $2,902.50 to assistant band director stipend for 23-24 school year only, and to pay assistant band director daily rate $263 for days worked beyond the contracted 205 days during June and July of 2024. All in favor say aye. Aye. None opposed, 5-0.
Motion to hire the attached list of classified employees for the 2024-2025 school year. An attached list.
Do you wanna go into executive session and discuss personnel?
I don't have any questions.
And there are 2 tabs on your list.
I have something I think that they can do later. It's not personal.
Right. Oh, my only question, and it doesn't require executive session.
Okay.
We're on the classified changes to be made tab, we're adding a half hour to all of the bus routes. Is that the new route time?
So to address that question, we are adding a half hour to some routes that we've been paying on a time card based
Gotcha.
on, these are routes that they've been running for the current year that's been established, and we feel like they will remain established, so instead of having them do a time card, the difference,
Gotcha.
we're adding that
Okay.
half hour to those specific routes only. That's a
Just
great
those.
question.
Okay. Yep, that was my only question after I looked at it, so I'm good.
We good? All right, so motion to hire the attached list of classified employees for the 24-25 school year. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? 5-0.
Motion to accept the retirement resignations from the personnel below for the correlating positions for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year. Tisa Bomer, Tisa Bomer, elementary teacher, Tammy Foster, secretary, Sarah East, head softball coach, TC Shamel, assistant track coach, Johanna Burrow, nurse's aide, Karen Adams, preschool teacher, Stephen Bellamy, middle school teacher, Christy Dukes, middle school teacher. I just have a question. On just the attachment that we have, the staffing, I just want to be clear, the ones in the pink doesn't mean they won't be replaced, they just haven't been, right? Okay.
We don't have recommendations.
Sure, and the ones that say
in
not
yellow will be
replacing.
based
don't
on
need to-
actual.
Okay.
Everybody's good? All right, so motion to accept the retirement resignations from the personnel below for the correlated positions for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year. Tisa Bomer, elementary teacher, Tammy Foster, secretary, Sarah East, head softball coach, TC Shamel, assistant track coach, Johanna Burrow, nurse's aide, Karen Adams, preschool teacher, Stephen Bellamy, middle school teacher, Christy Dukes, middle school teacher. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, 5-0.
Motion to hire the following for the correlating positions for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year. Diana Ondavala, elementary teacher, Amanda Barham, elementary teacher, Drew Cates, middle school teacher, defensive football coordinator, Amber Olson, student council sponsor, TC Shamel, head softball coach, Matt Richardson, assistant track coach, Aaron Pennington, high school teacher, offensive coordinator, assistant football coach.
Do we have any questions on that one? Everybody's good? All right, motion to hire the following for the correlating positions for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year. Diana Ondavala, Amanda Barham, elementary teacher, Drew Cates, middle school teacher, defensive coordinator, Amber Olson, student council sponsor, TC Shamel, head softball coach, Matt Richardson, assistant track coach, Aaron Pennington, high school teacher, offensive coordinator, assistant football coach. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed, 5-0. And we are adjourned. At 6:05.